Just Talk with DJ Cappuccino.
Welcome to another episode of The Deconstruction with DJ Cappuccino. The president of the ANC Youth League mentioned that there are only 3 lions of the North, which is Peter Nchabeleng, Peter Mokaba, and Collen Malatji. I think it was really funny for himself to equate himself with these giants, but I know that he was just telling a joke and breaking the ice.
There's only 3 lions of the North. It's Comrade Peter Nchabeleng, it's Comrade Peter Mokaba, it's Comrade Collen Malatji.
He galvanized the youth, reminded them of how poor they are. But I want to tell you something about Peter Nchabeleng, because I spoke about Peter Mokaba on the previous episodes, which I think you need to revisit. The one where I am deconstructing what Mokaba was saying. Peter Nchabeleng, born in 1928, died in 1986, was a prominent South African anti-apartheid activist, trade unionist, a leader in both the ANC and the UDF in the Northern Transvaal. He played a vital role in resistance movement like Sabata Khomo, served time on Robben Island for his underground ANC and MK activities. To think that someone with such a rich political credential can be in the same line like Collen Malatji. I mean, Collen Malatji went to Robben Island as a tourist, probably sipping on a beautiful cognac, going to check how our stalwarts lived. And Collen Malatji also doesn't know how cold Robben Island can be, doesn't know the nutrition they had, the food, the treatment and everything. But I found it very funny when Collen Malatji equated himself with these lions, the real lions of the North. But I guess maybe we need to call Ntate Alec Nchabeleng Dam to please come and share light, the light Yahore. Who was this man, Peter Nchabeleng? As the inaugural chairperson of the UDF in the region, he helped galvanize anti-apartheid efforts. He died in police custody in 1986 after being severely beaten. I don't wish this death even on my enemies. I think this is a similar death that Bantu Steve Biko went through. This is very far from the stylish and the designer suits and clothes that Collen Malatji could be having or could be putting on his body sometimes. But I like the energy of the young man, Collen Malatji. And I think if he's given a chance, maybe he can grow well in the ANC and produce something very beautiful. His death sparked national outrage, talking about Peter Nchabeleng. He was awarded the Order of Luthuli in gold for his outstanding contribution to the South African liberation struggle.
Parliament is not an old age home. Old age homes are there. Those who want old age homes must go to old age homes. Parliament is a corridor of power. It is not an old age home. You can't make laws and say when people turn 65, they are pensioners. But those who are making the laws are pensioners themselves. Now they are going against the laws they've made. It's illegal for anyone above 65 years to be in Parliament. I will say it again, I will say it everywhere. President Ramaphosa is the last president who's a pensioner in South Africa.
The president of the ANC Youth League further indicated that Parliament is not an old age home. Parliament is a corridor of power, and pensioners cannot make laws. What he emphasized on was that it is illegal for a 65-year-old or older to be in Parliament the law says you must go to pension at 65. Then why? What is it that are you doing at the age of 70 in parliament, making laws at an age whereby you should be sitting at home? So he also further emphasized that the last pensioner to be elected to be president, or rather to go to parliament, it should be President Ramaphosa. Young people should swell the ranks of the ANC. One can ask questions like, does the Youth League want to get rid of its library, rich history, walking heritage from these old people? One can also ask, or maybe encourage the Youth League to develop programs of action whereby they can lay this program of actions to the old generation to implement them on their behalf. And another question is, what if the Youth League tried to come up with program of actions, but this program of actions, they don't suit these old people? These old people are saying, but anyway, we are gone in the next 10 to 15 years. Why must we implement this? So it's a debate that I would like to see, and I'll hear from your comments. Maybe there must be a way the Youth League communicates or be able to influence this older generation in terms of the aspirations of the youth and what they want. Maybe this is a very good channel, because you know how raw youth can be, even with their ideas, even with their impatience. Maybe they can lay their dreams to these old people. Or what if they tried that and they failed? I'll hear from you from the comments.
I'm here to tell you that there is no one from heaven who's going to liberate you. You are your own liberators. And in the African National Congress yourselves, you are going to take over the ANC and save it from those who are killing it.
Collen further mentioned that no one will save the youth but themselves. The youth should take over the ANC. The youth should swell the ranks of the ANC. The youth should be the ones in positions of leadership. So to save the ANC from it being destroyed by the so-called pensioners, remember, that is a term that Collen is using, pensioners, and moving with it, the youth needs to come. The youth need to come play a role in the ANC. So what he's saying is that he mentioned that, which I found very funny, that Mokete wadi rap rap must come to an end. I guess he means that, old people want to be massaged, they want to be rubbed and everything. And for a second, I just imagined a break in parliament where there's a room and old people bakradi rap rap there. That's what came to my mind when I listened to the president of the Youth League saying old people must go. He further mentioned that the youth should refuse to agree with what was agreed on in CODESA. I think that's a very revolutionary post that Collen is taking. He's saying that the agreements that were taken in CODESA don't suit the youth. And maybe I can agree with him, because of the youth is suffering. The youth is unemployed. The youth doesn't even know where to go. The youth of now, I think it's more in trouble than the youth by the time CODESA was negotiated. There are no industries to absorb them. Not many of them finish school or go to school. They have societal problems. I learned about drugs recently, but in that era, those things were not there. So it's a debate that I would like to see it happening in our comments as we discuss this matter. So this can only mean one thing. It can mean that maybe Collen is saying the sunset clause must go. Maybe Collen is saying whatever what was decided at that particular time, the ready to govern, all those things, it's nonsense. They're not helping the youth. Right now, the current state of the youth is getting worse and worse and worse.
Because the economy needs artisans, the economy needs engineers, the economy needs agriculture people. The economy needs to be responsive to the economic demand of their own country. Now ourselves as the youth of this country, we must go and skill ourselves to respond, because when we are putting export quotas in this country, those who must run those factories and those businesses, it must be ourselves. But regardless, Iran, youth of South Africa, it can be a youth on drugs and alcohol while our country is stolen by foreigners every day.
The following utterance by the ANC Youth League president reminded me of what Comrade Oliver Tambo said. While we can all be soldiers in the struggle, some of us must acquire skills so that when eventually we take over the government, we are equipped to lead and build a better future. So the president of the Youth League said, the economy needs professionals, artisans, engineers, scientists, learned people. They need people with high skill. The president of the Youth League further mentioned how the youth of today are swallowed by alcohol, drugs, sex, many other things, mapiano. They are interested in TikTok dances. All they want is to be seen. You know, I remember what Nota said today on X, that the only thing that young people want is to be seen, is the likes on TikTok, when we don't have land, we don't have jobs, we don't have education, when we have nothing. So the president of Youth League was mentioning also that foreigners are taking opportunities that belong to young people in South Africa. They are running, for instance, spaza shops. He challenged the youth that, are we saying we can't even run a spaza shop? Putting it bluntly, he even said, indeed, rapalelo. And he emphasized that no illegal foreigner must run a business in South Africa. And one can argue that the reason we have illegal foreigners entering spaces, running businesses, it is because of the ANC. And I believe if we had to argue the affirmative, I doubt if we would win that. The president of the Youth League also mentioned that Hillbrow is gone. Sunnyside is gone to the foreigners. Jimiston is gone to the foreigners. The next thing, foreigners are taking over our townships. Foreigners are taking over our villages. In our villages lately, they're taking over while the youth is busy. That's all, the latest style. How do you twerk? Indeed, maybe we're going to have a problem in future. So the president of Youth League also mentioned that we have surrendered our country to illegal foreigners. They are gone. While also we have old people stealing money from NSFAS that is supposed to skill young people. We have comrades that we know stealing a lot of money from NSFAS. And as the youth, we are also occupied by being seen on social media.
Labor offer e-wallet, where you are handled by your mayors and your MECs. They give you small money. They've stolen a lot. Every time they give you money, you must know that they are giving you 1% of what they've stolen. They are giving you money to silence you, to sell out the youth of this country, because basically e-wallet, urekisha sechaba, uchapesanya region, merekwa every day, who post a mayor.
He mentioned that when leaders give you money, you must know they stole a lot from the poor. He's brave. He says that if you see a politician giving you money, you must know it's 1% of what the politician collected. And I'm thinking, what if someone say, let's take for instance, the politician collected 10%. I mean, hypothetically thinking, collected 10% from the business person and gives you 1%. But it made me start to think about what was said on the very same podcast by Dr. Pap Mabuta when he said, if you see politicians getting very rich, you must know that government is producing poverty. But going back to what Collen Malatji said, when you collect that money from these elderly politicians, these old politicians, you must know that you are selling the revolution. You are selling young people. And hence we see that when you wake up in the morning, there are some young people, they just post the mail. Bona, there's no content, anything whatsoever, no debate, nothing. The person will post pictures of the premier. Hey, the premier again. Bona, what? Which is something that I also touched on. And he's mentioning that it is because of these e-wallets that young people are receiving. At a later stage, in the long run, they're going to be very damaging to the youth.
The minerals below the soil here in Limpopo, in Beresford every day, they're stolen by Chinese every day. The people of Beresford are poor, while Chinese and their black friends who are fronting for them are stealing minerals every day in Limpopo.
Bana ingiselane uri president ingiselane abathetheleze. The president is saying the minerals in Beresford are stolen 24 hours. As we are recording this podcast right now, as you are watching this, there's a truck that is leaving Beresford full of minerals. And these minerals are going to China. The Chinese companies, Chinese people, in collusion with a few of our people, where they will worship you, demand, selling the community, selling the villages, greed, while a lot of money, minerals that can empower your community are leaving the villages. But he emphasized that those things are happening while the Youth League is just sitting there, smoking, drinking, having sex. So he also mentioned something very important, that when you see yourself as the Youth League being liked by old people, then something is wrong. He mentioned and emphasized that he never received a complaint from the ANC in Limpopo complaining about the youth. It means something is wrong. The youth is liked by old people. And old people, when they like you as a youth, when they love you, you must know something is wrong. You must know it's the youth that is losing. So this is really, really, really very interesting that we must look at whenever we're analyzing what's happening right now and how the youth need to take up arms and protect themselves and protect their future.
But why ANC? But say we welcome the chair. For all fikile yualeng, ndama thoma le riang la VIP, reka yuala ba utura le ja chirija batho.
The last part is said, it's actually of a social nature. Leaders are known, ANC leaders are known to go to events. The first thing they look for, VIPs. They buy expensive alcohol. Starlight. Bona, starlight after starlight comes. They are felt that abafihlile, abantwana bathambo bafikile. And they take people's girlfriends. Even sometimes you'll be told, Mchana, surrender your girl to leadership. You need to surrender, Mchana. So this is what's happening. But he mentioned something very important, that how do you even sustain or keep a relationship without having money. Because to send an SMS, to send a WhatsApp, you need money for that. And as the youth, you are doomed, you are unemployed, you have nothing. So, deconstructing what the president of Youth League is saying is that the youth need to rise. The youth, you are the future. But I'll also hear on the comments what you think about what Collen Malatji said.
Just Talk with DJ Cappuccino.